What? Oh.
Hey, I just had this crazy idea for a video. What if instead of talking about a video game, I talk about a short film that's about a video game? Ah, genius! How many people do you think will like it?
Basically nobody.
Fuck you. First of all, Merry Christmas or New Year's Eve or whenever I upload this. This year I made tons of videos about video games I liked. I only made an exception to talk about a book because I thoroughly hated it. In this occasion though, I will talk about a short film because I also fucking hate. Just kidding, it's because of how much I love it. I want to clarify that even though I know and love TF2 as a game, I like Expiration Date independently from it. The game existing is just an added bonus. I won't go over the entire plot so as to not waste time, but the video will contain spoilers, so go watch it now if you haven't. If you have watched though, I bet you never truly saw it as more than a TF2 short. In this video I'm going to prove to you that Expiration Date is much more than just a TF2 short. It's an absolute masterpiece. As I said in the intro, one great thing about Expiration Date is how self-contained it is. Every joke, plot point and scene can be understood even without knowing the game. Sure, knowing the characters is important, but even if you don't, everything is mentioned subtly enough for you to grasp the context you need. For example, look at this scene. Who's that guy? Why did he just appear there with beers? So random. Well, if you know a bit about TF2, you know that that's a teleporter, and that that's a demo man, and that he's an alcoholic.
What?
However, if you don't know about the game, then you also could know that. How? Well, if you're observant, you know that all the context has already been given. By this point of the video, you already know that that machine is a teleporter.
Yeah, listen now, we've been running some experiments on the teleporter.
And that a so-called demo man is due to come in with beers anytime soon.
The demo back with the beer yet? Cause
With subtle phrases and actions, you learn more than you'd think about the characters. You learn how Soldier is reckless when he misinterprets and reacts violently to what the engine says.
Y'all know what this means, right?
We cannot teleport bread anymore!
You then see that reflected on how the soldier does nothing but screw things up through the whole video.
As long as nobody teleports any bread.
I teleported bread.
What?
You also learn Scout and Spy's dynamic in just their first interaction.
a lot of people busy with busyness.
Asking out that dial tone again, I see.
Go to hell, Spy.
From this 5-second clip, you already know that A. Scout wants to ask Pauling out. B. He is quite a moron given he just invents a new word when he can think of one. C. Spy is a smart, witty and bitter motherfucker who likes to tease others. And D. They both hate each other. These initial assumptions then get strengthened by how the characters interact, and yes, indeed, they were right. I think Valve did a masterful job in adding all of that subtle context to make the experience significantly less confusing for people that don't know about the game. There is just one scene that messes this up, but I'll get back to it later. Another strong point for this short is, of course, the humor. It's hard to pinpoint where the funny is in this film. Even though it clearly is quite hilarious, most of the time you can't really tell what's a funny moment and what's a serious one. Of course, there are some clips dedicated to being funny.
This is a bucket.
Dear God.
There's more.
No.
And there's also moments that are meant to be serious.
So, I did write down a last wish. I'd like to go on a date with Miss Pauling.
However, that serious moment is also a setup for another joke.
You're terrible with girls.
What?
The beauty of the Expiration Date humor is that it blends in perfectly with the story. During most of the film, you probably won't notice the funny bits because they're completely homogeneous with the actual plot. And yes, the funny to seriousness ratio varies from scene to scene, but there's always some relevance in jokes and some humor in key scenes.
Seduce me.
You.
Seduce me.
So we're fine, as long as nobody teleports any bread.
I teleported bread.
What?
I have done nothing but teleport bread for 3 days.
Both of those scenes were fairly important to the plot, but still had some humor mixed in. What can I tell you? The writing is masterful, the story is self-contained, the humor is sweet but not distracting, the A and B plots match beautifully, the soundtrack is a bop, and the animation is great. In conclusion, yeah, Expiration Date is a masterpiece. I want to talk a bit about the animation before we're done with the video though. Most of the time we think of SFM animations as shitty meme videos because it's so easy to use and every noob uses it. But this film wasn't made by no noob, it was made by fucking Valve, and goddammit it slaps. at least in comparison to the average SFM animation. Of course, it isn't actual peak animation or anything, it's okay, but what I like about it is how lively it feels. Most modern cartoons are very focused on the individual characters that are speaking, but in Expiration Date there's a bit of attention to every merc on screen, though focusing on whoever's speaking. This is mostly present in two scenes. The first one is the scene where the scout gets out of a car. In this scene the focus is clearly on the scout, as he's speaking to the medic and Angie who look worried. In any other cartoon that would be all, two individual storylines, the scout getting out of a car and the Angie and medic being worried about something that they didn't explain. Simple. However, what we have in Expiration Date are 5 individual storylines. Did you see them all? First and second are the ones I just mentioned. Third is the soldier pulling on a dead leg to then join the main conversation. Fourth is the demo living in the teleporter, cleverly prompting his later reappearance, as I said earlier in the video. Finally, the fifth is the heavy grabbing a sandwich, which serves as a setup for a later joke.
Ah! What the hell is that? Tumors!
It's not only this clip. In every other scene there's a character in the background reacting to what happens in the foreground. Like the soldier in the moment where the medic teleports bread. I showed that very scene earlier in the video, and you probably hadn't noticed the soldier's reaction there. Heck, I watched Expiration Date like 6 times, and I only just noticed it while making this video. Do me a favor and go watch Expiration Date again, but only pay attention to the background. But not now, wait until this video ends so that the retention doesn't plummet. Now, you might be thinking, how are the characters in the background relevant to this film? Well, it certainly doesn't affect the plot or the humor, but it helps the essence of TF2. In an average TF2 game, no one really plays as a team, it's usually just a bunch of people running around and shooting each other. It's not some elaborate image, it's everyone's individual gameplay that forms a bigger picture. Chaos. A beautiful chaos though. Everyone doing their individual part. That's perfectly portrayed in Expiration Date. That takes us to the other scene I wanted to mention, the fight scene in the end. What can I say? Absolute cinema. This perfectly ties in both plots in the film, in a sequence where every merc fights in its own way. This truly is the climax and the best scene in the short. Except, well, remember what I said earlier in the video about one certain scene that broke the self-containment rule? Well, just look at this.
Now, Doctor!
What's that? Why did the sandwich guy just turn red? Of course, we all know it's the Uber charge. But what if we didn't, huh? What if someone watched this and didn't know what the Uber is? This totally breaks the perfectly understandable rule. And for nothing too! They could have added some Uber charge instructions in the medic's lab instead of that weird breath chart that gets literally a screen full of attention. Or they could have just not done it. The heavy doesn't even get hit. There's no point in giving him the Uber. It's just distracting. I assume they wanted to give the medic a purpose, but why not just heal the scout or soldier when they got hit? What a way to mess up an almost perfect masterpiece. Whatever, it's still a banger video. Go watch it if you haven't. And if you have, go watch another video of mine. Now though, and without more bread to teleport, thank you so much for watching, and as always, thanks for the views.
See you all in hell.